Okay, so today we're going over solving consecutive type word problems and perimeter type word problems. So you already probably know what a few words mean, but the words more than means to add, and the word sum means to add. So the sum of two numbers means the answer you get when you add two numbers together. And then there's words that mean to subtract, like fewer than, or less than, or difference. And then the word twice means to multiply by 2. So different words, just a reminder of what different words mean as far as operations. So let's look at problem number 1. It says one number is 9 more than a second number. The sum of the two numbers is 29. So we know that when you add up the two numbers, you're supposed to get 29 when you add up the two numbers. So this problem is basically about two numbers. So we're going to do what's called defining our variables. So we're going to let let n represent the second number, right? Because we don't know what the first number is. We don't know what the second number is. So one of the numbers is 9 more than. So one of the numbers is 9 more than the second number. So one of the numbers is 9 more than the second. So that means one of the numbers, or the first number, so one of the numbers or the first number, has to be 9 more than the first number. So we have to write n plus 9 to represent that the second number. So let's pretend. Let's say the first number is 7, right? So if the first number is 7, wouldn't 7 plus 9, wouldn't that make 16? So isn't the first number 9 more than the second number? So that's what they mean. And when you add 7 plus 16, do you get 29? No, you don't. So obviously we don't have the right answers. So we're not trying to just guess and check and guess and check. This lesson's really about not just guessing and checking and getting the answer, but it's about being able to write an equation and solve the equation to answer the question. So that's really what we're looking at today. It's not just being able to guess and check and get the answer. So we're looking to writing an equation. So again, we're going to let n represent the first number. And then it says 9 more than, so 9 more than the second number. So the first number, or one of the numbers, has got to be 9 more than the second. So that's called defining your variables. After you define your variables, we can create an equation. And the equation that we're going to create is the fact that they said it was a sum. So the sum means we're going to add the two numbers together. And they said the sum is supposed to be 29. So when you take the second number, which is just n, and you add it to the first number, which is n plus 9, that has to be a sum of 29. So that's our equation. So I'm going to rewrite the equation in black. So basically we have the second number plus, we also have the first number, and that's supposed to be a sum of 29 when you add those two numbers together. So that's our equation. And then we want to solve that equation. So if we combine like terms, doesn't that give me 2n plus 9 equals 29? And then if we subtract 9 from both sides, doesn't that give me 20? And if we divide both sides by 2, doesn't that give me 10? So therefore we know that the second number is n. And if we plug in n, now that we know that n is 10, we can take out n and we can put 10 in its place. So now we know the first number is 19. So 19 is the first number, and 10 is the second number, right? Isn't the first number 9 more than the first? I mean, the second, isn't the first one 9 more than the second one? And if you add those up, don't you get 29? So see, we really do have the right answer. So you should always write your answer in a complete sentence. Okay, so now let's look at number 2. Number 2 says we have the sum of two consecutive numbers is 49. So once again, we have the word sum, and sum means you're going to add up, and we're going to add up two numbers, and these are called consecutive numbers. So first we have to stop a minute and let's just talk about consecutive. The word consecutive means one number right after the other. So 50 and then 51. 100 and 101. 12, and then 13. So one number right after the other, like 5, 6, 7, 8. One number after the other is called consecutive. 7 and 10 are not consecutive because it's not the next number that comes after, right? So these are not consecutive. So let's look at consecutive. What do you notice about consecutive numbers? If I start with 12, what do I need to do to get to the next consecutive number? So what do you notice on a number line if we're looking at consecutive numbers? What could we say that mathematically we could do to get to the next consecutive number? Do you see the pattern? Do you see it's just adding one each time, adding one each time? So we could say that n So we could say if n is one of the numbers, then the next number after that, right, would have to be n plus 1. So those would be consecutive numbers. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to use consecutive numbers. So we're going to define our variables. So we're going to let's let n represent the first number. And then if we want to get to the next or the second consecutive number, don't we just have to add 1 to the number before it? So those are the variable expressions for the two numbers that we're dealing with. And then again, it says that we're adding those two numbers together. So if you take the first number, which is n, and you take the second number, which is n plus 1, they said the sum of those, so that means if you add those up, they said